To start off our statistics unit, we're going to look at data collection. So first off, we need to know what makes a statistical question versus a non-statistical question. So most importantly, a statistical question is a question that can be answered by collecting data and then anticipates a important part here, variability in those answers. So essentially, you should have more than one answer. If you're trying to analyze data, it's not going to do anything if everything's the same. Versus non-statistical question, it's going to just have one answer. So let's look at deciding which ones are statistical, which ones are not. So what is the height of the Empire State Building? There is one answer. So no, it is not statistical. How many shoes does the average sixth grader have? And key part there, average sixth grader. We're going around every sixth grader, they're going to have different shoe sizes. There's going to be multiple answers. So yes, it's statistical. How many miles is New York from Chicago? And we're going to say we're picking a specific spot in New York, specific spot in Chicago. There's one answer, one distance. How many hours does the average high schooler spend on homework? Again, there's kind of that key word there. Every person's going to be different. There's going to be multiple answers. How tall are you specifically? Well, if I'm just asking one person, no, that's not statistical. On average, again, we see that keyword. How many texts do you send each day? So even though it's you individually, it's going to be different every day. Maybe Monday I send 10, maybe Tuesday I send 100. So yes, there's going to be variability in that question. So the population is the entire group or the whole group or individuals being surveyed. Versus the sample is the actual amount of population or actual portion that is being surveyed. So, if they're giving data on people that live in Chicago, they might not be actually asking every single person that lives in Chicago. We might just have a small sample that we're going to try to use to represent the whole city. When we are collecting samples, we have what we call unbiased samples versus biased samples. Your goal would be to have unbiased samples. So an unbiased sample is a sample selected so it accurately represents the population. We want it to actually be representative. I don't want to ask what the average age at a school is and only go into the preschool building. That's not going to be accurate for the whole entire K through 5 or preschool through 5th grade building. So the two different unbiased samples that we have are a first simple random sample. This is kind of what you would think normally. You're randomly selecting. So a sample where each item or person in the population is as likely to be chosen as any other. Maybe you're picking out of a hat. Maybe you're assigning numbers to each person, then you're picking a number. So it's just kind of a random pick. Or also random, but it's systematic. There's a system to it. So this is a sample where the items or people are selected according to a specific time or item interval. Maybe I'm asking every 5th person that enters the door. Maybe I am going to interview someone every 10 minutes. So there's certain time or item interval, and that's how I'm picking who's going to be surveyed. Then we have bias samples. These aren't going to be accurate representations of the population. So it's a sample where one or more parts of the population are favored over others. So a convenient sample is a sample that consists of members of a population that are easily accessed or conveniently accessed. It's easy. If I want to survey people on their favorite sport and I'm at a basketball game, that's easy, but it's probably going to favor basketball. Or a voluntary response sample is a sample that consists only of those who are volunteering to participate. The reason that voluntary responses are biased is if you think about like reviews on a website, okay? If you go onto Amazon and see reviews for a product, most likely, if people are reviewing, they either really love the product, they thought it was awesome, or they hated it, right? So and people are picking and choosing. You're not going to get your average person's review on things. So let's look at picking out these samples. So what we're going to do is we're going to decide if it's biased or unbiased, and when we're stating because, we're just going to state which type of sample it is. So a phone survey is taken by a radio station to see how many listeners enjoy jazz in the morning. Well, surveys are volunteer-based. So this is biased, and it is a voluntary sample. And also it would be biased because we don't know what this radio station is. Maybe it's a jazz radio station. Probably going to have more people that would answer jazz. Number 2, every 40th student who enters the school is asked to name their favorite class. This is unbiased. And specifically when it's saying every 40th student, that's when we're talking about this systematic random sample. So why? Because it is a systematic random sample. Number 3, 10 students are randomly selected to participate in a survey about home computer usage. So I know it says survey, but that's just kind of what they're asking here. Where we see 10 students are randomly selected, that randomness is what's important. This is unbiased, and it's a simple random sample. Number 4, Jennifer wants to know the average age of people who go to the movies at her local theater. She decides to ask everyone going in to see the rated R horror film. So here's this important part. She's just asking those that are going in to see a rated R horror film. And what she's trying to survey is the average age. Well, what's important about a rated R movie? You have to be like 17 or older, or 18 or older. So are you really getting an accurate representation of everyone that goes to the movies? No, because there's kids. So this is biased. We know it's either voluntary or convenient. It's not voluntary because they're not volunteering. The convenience sample is correct because this is easy for her. She's just standing outside of one theater, the rated R theater. That's convenient. That's easy. That's not an accurate representation. So why? It's a convenient sample. Number 5, Adidas wants to check the quality of their shoes. The plant manager decides to check every 5th shirt. That should be shoes, not shirt. Shoes. That is made. So as soon as we see that they're checking every certain amount, every time interval, every item interval, that is unbiased. And that is our systematic. It's got a system to it. So our systematic random sample. And last one, every 3rd person who entered a basketball game were asked their favorite sport to watch. So first I see every 3rd person. I'm like, wow, that is great. That is a systematic random sample. But I look at the next part. They're entering a basketball game and we're asking their favorite sport. So even though the process is accurate, okay, it's every 3rd person, that's accurate, but when we're entering a basketball game, we're asking a favorite sport, it's probably going to favor basketball. So I'm saying that this is biased, and it's biased because it's convenient. It's convenient just to stand outside a basketball game rather than going to multiple sporting events. And that's it.